Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the IICHE HIT Students Chapter under the Department of Chemical Engineering, Haldia Institute of Technology, I warmly welcome you all to Career Catalyst, a placement guidance talk aimed at providing clarity on placements and career planning. Founded in 2010, the IICHE HIT Students Chapter has consistently worked towards bringing academics and industry through seminars, workshops, alumni interactions, and industry exposure, helping students prepare for professional engineering careers. With that, I would now like to hand over the session to Suman, who will introduce our esteemed guest for today.
Introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. Chirag Jain, and he is a senior engineer at GAIL India Limited, and he has also secured a rank in GATE 2023, All India rank 50, and he also president gold medalist from RGPIT College, and he mentored over 1,000 GATE aspirants, and he also guided numerous students to work toward for PSU career and core engineer role. So today in today's session, he will share about the practical inside knowledge of the placement preparation, interview, and skill development. So now over to you, Bhaiya.
Okay, thank you, Suman, for the amazing introduction. Adding to Suman's introduction, I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Chirag Jain. I have completed my BTech in Chemical Engineering 2.5 years ago in 2023. And post that, through campus placement, a lot of people don't know, I got into GAIL India Limited. Although post my placement, I appeared for GATE, secured an All India rank of 50. In my third year attempt, I qualified GATE with a rank of 722. Not great, but improved it to All India rank 50. I also gave interview for Barco CES, for which I was selected as scientist officer C. And I also got campus place in L&T Hydrocarbon. I think L&T is one of the companies visiting HIT and campus placement. Okay, and these three were the companies or organizations that I got selected in. For any other organization, I haven't interviewed, although I had the opportunity to interview for IOCL, NPCIL, etc. at that time. Post that, for GATE examination and interviews in general. Okay, to be very honest, at the starting, I was not very good at it. But this process of 2.5 years of guiding students for GATE and interviews, I feel I have acquired the technical skill set that one needs. Technical and more than technical, that communication aspect that one needs to have to guide students for uh, interviews in particular. At the same time, the strategy that one needs to follow for GATE. So I have worked on these skills for last 2.5 years, and that is why I think I am probably taking this session, and that is something that makes me eligible. Okay, because if I talk about my achievements, to be very honest, All India rank 1 would be a better qualified person. But in that case, what that person would deliver might not resonate with you the way it will resonate the way I am going to deliver. Okay. So I think our focus for today is interview guidance. Before I start a basic presentation, it's just 4 or 5 slides of presentation. I don't want to waste your time reading presentations. I think this is something which you are already doing in your semesters and academics. So I want it to be more interactive. At the same time, those who are attending this, if in order to take most out of this session in next 30-35 minutes, is it's better you stay active during the session. Okay, for next 30-35 minutes, do not scroll Instagrams on the side by minimizing this particular meeting. Keep it on full screen and let's have some fruitful discussion in next 30-35 minutes. Okay, before I start the session, I would like to know the basic demographics of this session. Okay, so just write in the chat if you are from first year, second year, third year, final year. Okay, I expect more of third year students and final year students. But if there are first year, second year students also, then it's I will try to change my strategy or modify my strategy based on that. Okay, just write in the chat box. Third year, great. Thanks, Prince. Preetham, third year. Okay. Okay, great. So most of you are third year, some of you are second year. Great. Very active audience. So I didn't expect 100 plus participation. Uh, I think, and most of you are chemical engineers.
Yes, Bhaiya.
Just right. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
all
All
of
of you are
them.
chemical engineers. Okay. Arijit, we haven't started the session yet. I don't think there needs to be any doubt to be discussed as of now. So it's better people raise hands post I have discussed something. So that would be better. Okay. So majority of audience is third year and second year. Final year is not there probably because I think placements are something that are already going on. So people are already preparing for placements. So they won't be needing any specific guidance as such. Okay. Some are from fourth year also. Great. Okay. Fine. ठीक है. So we'll start the session. The brief, what session is going to be about. Okay, I think now please stop writing in the chat. Thank you for all the messages. Okay. Okay. So I will be sharing my slides. The slides are not very great to be honest or very detailed to be honest. What is going to be detailed is the explanation that I am going to give you. Okay. So it's better you focus on my explanation. Slides are just for reference point of view. Okay. So I'm going to share my slide. Once I share, Suman, please confirm if the
Okay,
slides are
okay.
visible. Okay. Are the slides visible?
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay. Fine. ठीक है. So I think you can see what you can see on the slide. You can write in the chat. Acha, okay. Apart from Suman, I will be needing a volunteer. Okay. Anyone who wants to volunteer, the role of the volunteer is going to be whenever I ask something, the volunteer is supposed to answer. The questions are not going to be very difficult. It would be something like, can you see my slide? What is on the slide? Okay. Anyone who wants to volunteer? Okay. Ranit is raising their hand. Ranik, you can volunteer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ranit. Okay. So what you can see on my slide,
Where to start? The first slide.
where to start. Right. Great. Thank you, Ranit. Okay. So a key to any cracking interview of any organization. For example, give me Ranit. Can you tell me 5 different organizations which usually come for campus placements in HIT?
Basically, the renowned company that came is HPL Haldia Petrochemicals.
India Petrochemicals Limited.
Next,
Great.
the Himadri Chemicals,
Himadri Specialty Chemicals. Good.
and then comes the JSW,
JSW. Okay.
and then if we go for the off-campus, then we are eligible for the Reliance.
Okay. Reliance. Acha. Fine. Acha. Only 3 companies visit
No,
for
sir.
campus placement.
No,
HPL,
sir.
Himadri, JSW.
और भी है, सुपर गैस है, फिर
Mm-hmm.
होगा एनर्जी टेक है.
Okay. ठीक है. अच्छा, L&T doesn't come to your campus?
हाँ, यस सर. एलएनटी.
L&T does come.
यस सर.
ठीक है, L&T हो गया. Then
अबाग.
Aarti Industries?
आरती.
Aarti doesn't come to your campus.
नो इन्फॉर्मेशन अबाउट.
Okay, fine. ठीक है. So we have 5 companies as of now. HPL, Himadri, JSW, L&T, let's say Supergas. Okay, ठीक है. So let's say you get a notification that this particular company is about to visit in next 1 week, 2 week. First and foremost that you should be doing is going to the website of this particular organization, be it HPL, be it Himadri, be it JSW. Okay. And try to reach out to the professionals working in this particular organization. Get to know what are the important aspects, or what are the important projects, or what are the important activities, or what is the future scope of this particular organization. Okay, so basically try to understand the organization as a whole, and you should be able to explain about that organization in a couple of minutes or 3 minutes, and the description should be such that that comprises of almost everything about the organization. Let's say I am someone who is working in Gail India Limited, and if I were to ask, or someone were to ask me, what is Gail India Limited, or what does Gail India Limited does? Okay, so I would say that Gail India Limited is basically an energy focused company which transports and markets gas. At the same time, it uses gas to make certain products like petrochemicals. Uh, Also, it is extending its work in renewable energy sector, where we are actively investing in hydrogen generation, solar energy, wind power, etc. Okay, so this is the basic explanation that one should be giving. If I talk about HPL, HPL is Haldia Petrochemicals. So you should be knowing what is the capacity of HPL's plant, what are the main products that they're making, what does HPL do in general. If you are aware of the how does HPL, how HPL started, what are the current projects? Okay, are they expanding their particular petrochemical unit? They are working on some commissioning activity, some recent projects. Okay, are they doing something in the relevant sectors like renewable energy sector, etc. Okay, so this is the kind of awareness. Also, financial health of the company. Okay, you should be knowing their revenue, their profit loss, basic data. I'm not asking you to mug up the data exactly, but roughly you should be aware of the financial condition of the company. Okay, profit loss and revenue of previous quarter, previous year, that is pretty much enough. Okay, so this will make you understand where the company stands financially, what is its product portfolio, what the company is doing primarily. Okay, and you as a chemical engineer is going to do what. Okay, now website wouldn't explicitly mention what you are going to do as a chemical engineer. You will get that idea from someone who is already working as a chemical engineer in that organization. Okay, and because I think these companies are regularly visiting your campus, so you would have seniors. Reach out those seniors and try to understand what is going to be your job. Okay, so when you have this much of idea, now you're kind of eligible, or you kind of aware of about the company, and now you can technically work on the other aspects. Okay, any doubt in this particular slide or in this particular discussion so far? So this is basically where do you start your preparation. So a lot of people are usually stay confused that what should I do? I should do technical first. I should do um HR first. Okay, I think you should be doing that continuously whenever the placement season is about to start, but this is something which is company specific, and as soon as you feel that you want to join this particular company, or the notification of this particular company to uh, carry out campus placement process comes, or off campus placement also, you should start uh, understanding about the companies. Okay, and website is one of the best ways. The second best way is to go through their LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn is somewhere the companies actively post their projects, their any major changes that are happening internally, externally, which are affecting shareholders, which are affecting investors. That is usually updated on LinkedIn also. So LinkedIn is also another way where you can get to know a lot about the company. Okay, any doubt in this? Anyone? You can just raise your hand and open your mic and ask. Feel free to, you don't even have to raise your hand. Just open your mic and mention your name and ask your doubt. Okay, I feel there is no doubt. So we'll move to the second slide. Okay, the presentation is very brief. My aim is not to uh, make you read the presentation. My aim is to listen to me and then uh, make get a good conclusion out of this discussion. Okay, now let's come to what else can be asked. Okay, whenever you're interviewing for an organization, it is always expected you to know about that organization, so that is what we have already covered. Okay, and one of the questions can be, what do you know about the organization? Okay, but it is not necessary that they are interested in asking this particular question. But as someone who is getting interviewed for our organization, you should be aware of the in and out of the organization. Okay, now coming on to what can be asked based on what you have done so far. Okay, so technical or CV or resume based questions can be classified into following categories. One is your work experience. Work experience in this case is not relevant because you are someone who is trying for off campus placement as a fresher, also campus placement as a fresher itself. So this particular point is not relevant. In your case, that would become internships, but that is already covered in the third point. So we'll discuss when the third point comes. Coming on to projects. Okay. Now, BTech project is, I think, one of the only way which exposes you to the research aspect of chemical engineering. Okay, a lot of projects that you do, I think, in HIT you might be doing one or two projects. In my case, I was doing a couple of projects. I think three projects. So in your case, it may be the case where you have just one major project. Okay, so that project that you're doing exposes you or gives you an exposure of research aspect. Okay, so a lot of people who are pursuing their projects eventually develop interest for masters, but in case you are attending the session, I feel you don't fall into that category. So when it comes to project, it is very important to know what is the industrial application of a project. Okay, because if I am someone who is working for an industry for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I don't care about which solvent you use for carbon capture. I don't care about how did you prepare your catalyst for hydrogen generation or ammonia degradation or whatever your project be. I'm not very serious about the nitty-gritties of the chemical or chemistry aspect of a project. Okay, I'm focused about how your project can be implemented in the industry. Is this particular project is relevant to the current scenario in the industrial setting, or if it is not being implemented or it is not feasible as of now, what are the challenges associated with it? Okay, so I will give you an example. For my case, my project was because hydrogen as a gas is very light. Okay, it's the lightest molecule in fact, and if I want to use hydrogen somewhere and I'm producing hydrogen somewhere else, then transporting it is a very challenging task. First of all, if you transport in the traditional natural gas pipelines, which is typically used for natural gas, the molecule is so small that it will just pass through the structure of the steel itself, and it will cause something called as hydrogen embrittlement. Okay, so it will affect the structural integrity of the system itself. Then secondly, if I want to transport it so that its energy density remains high, so being a light molecule, you need to compress it a lot, you need to cool it a lot. Okay, so either you compress it or either you liquefy it. Liquefying is another headache because this particular gas being lightest, how do you liquefy it? Okay, at the same time, compression is having a lot of costs associated with it. Okay, so it's better to transport it in a form of ammonia, and then once you when the ammonia reaches to some place and when you transport it, it will be transported as a liquid, and then on the site of usage it can be degraded to hydrogen again. So this was my project. Basically, I want to prepare a catalyst, I wanted to degrade ammonia, and that is something I wanted to study. Okay, so now catalyst preparation process, anything about the catalyst chemistry, anything about the non-industrial aspect is something which interviewers usually don't care about. They care about what you did in the projects, where you can include these particular things. But apart from that, what they be focusing about, if this particular project is being utilized in the industry. So yes, ammonia is being used as the hydrogen carrier across the globe for different applications, but there are challenges associated with this as well. Okay, so how do you overcome these challenges and what are the challenges associated? This is something that you should be aware of. Okay, so if I were to break down what you should be preparing for your projects, first is what did you do in this project? Something that you should be describing in a couple of minutes, followed by what is the industrial relevance. If this is being used in the industry, uh, then what are the benefits compared to other processes? If not, what are the challenges associated with it? Okay. And if it were to use in the industry, how do you overcome those challenges? Okay. Simple. You break down a project in these five key points, and that is pretty much that is required to prepare for your project. Okay. Any doubt in this? No doubts. We'll wait for 5 more seconds. Acha, if anyone can summarize what I said here, I think we had one volunteer.
Yes,
I
sir.
Can you summarize what I said in the projects part?
First of all, we have to know the industrial relevance of the project,
Perfect.
then the challenges associated with that project, or
Mm-hmm.
mm, how we can implement it in the industrial level,
Perfect.
and then how to solve those challenges in the industry.
Perfect. Perfect. That is it. Probably that is pretty much it. What I said. And first point was actually the overall what you did in the project. So an overview of a project. Okay. So that is first point. And remaining 4 points that I forgot your name.
Sir, run it.
Ranit. Yes. So the next 4 points that Ranit said. Okay. So thank you, Ranit. We'll move to internships. But before that, I will give you 5 seconds. Anyone else, if they have any doubt, they can ask. Feel free to ask doubts because again, this is something which may or may not be obvious. I'm not sure, but your doubts are answering your doubts will help you more than listening to just what I'm saying. Okay, so I think someone has texted it out. I would still recommend if you can just mention your name and ask your doubt verbally. Okay. Okay, can anyone volunteer to read those comments
Okay, sir.
Uh,
with the
Good evening,
meaning that
sir.
huh,
I was having one doubt. I'm Obhikte from third year chemical engineering department.
okay, good. Yes.
Sir, I haven't. Since you have not proceeded to the rest of the slides, I had one doubt. Is
Right. Hmm.
what are the core basic differences between doing a project and internships? Suppose in my case, I have done internship in IOCL. So
Okay.
there I have experienced like in-depth knowledge or how the industry actually works in that department. So
Perfect.
how the projects are little bit are projects and internships more fast or related to each other, or which is more important?
See, you cannot compare. It's basically an apple to oranges comparison. Okay. Internship is something which exposes you to the industrial setting. Projects are something which keeps you closer to the academic setting. Okay, projects you are doing first of all to fulfill your academic credits, that is primary purpose of the projects. Secondly, they again makes you um, work on something which is uh, less understood. Okay, so if you are for example working on, let's say, hydrogen production or carbon capture. Okay, so these are the things which are being explored, which are being still explored. Okay, and when you go to an internship, you are working on something which has already been installed, explored, commissioned, and being utilized to make a product which is something you and I will purchase. Okay, so projects are kind of a prerequisite of an industry. Okay, so both are very different, both fulfill different purposes. In general, projects keep you closer to academics, makes you um, kind of aware of how to approach uncharted topics where things are not being standardized, while in internships you study the things which are already being used, utilized in the industry. Okay, so that is pretty much the difference between project and internship. I think I have answered your doubt.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure. Anyone else? Okay, fine. So now someone can ask, Acha sir, what is the difference between projects and research internship? So to be very honest, there is no difference in a project and a research internship. In projects, you are particularly doing research in your institute. In a research internship, you are doing it somewhere else. Okay, so projects and research internships are kind of same, but when it comes to industrial internships, then they are pretty much different compared to projects. Okay, now coming on to internships, as one of the students said that they did internship in IOCL, I expect a lot of you doing internships in refineries, petrochemical units, or in any other industrial units. Okay, so if I talk about in that reference or in that sense, then knowing what you were doing in the internship is the key. Okay, let's say I think in which unit did you do your internship? I forgot the name.
Um, Sir, I have done internship in actually tertiary treatment plant unit.
Okay, TTP unit basically.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ठीक है. So very unconventional unit to be honest. Typically, people doing internship in IOCL do internship either in CDU, VDU, FCC, hydro treating, DHDS, DHDT unit. But fine, no issues. Even delayed coker I have heard, but first time I'm hearing someone doing internship in TTP. Okay. So knowing what TTP does, what is the feed of the TTT, what is the end product of the TTP, what is the purpose that particular unit is fulfilling is the key. Okay, and that is something that you should be knowing as the overview of the internship. What you particularly did in the internship, that is second thing. And knowing uh, basically, for example, if TTP unit is there, right? So first you should be knowing the overview of that unit. And the second case, typically they give some projects. Okay, in your case, if they have given a project, fine. If they haven't given a project, then also it's fine. You just mention in the interview or that, or in the resume itself, that you have gone, you have gotten an overview of that plant or that particular unit. Okay, if you have done a project, mention about that project also within your internship description. Okay, so there can be question based on that project. If that particular project is, typically it is based on either efficiency calculation or some kind of heat exchanger base. So if it's talk it, let's say it's about a fired heater efficiency, if it's about a heat exchanger efficiency, if it's about simulation of a distillation column, then you should be very thorough with the subject matter of that particular topic. If it's heat transfer, if it is heat exchanger, you should be thorough with the heat exchanger designing, even if you didn't do that in your internship. But as soon as you mention a process equipment like heat exchanger, distillation column, pumps, cooling towers, okay, absorbers, extractors, reactors, batch reactors, continuous reactors. Make sure you are very thorough with the academic aspect, with the basic technical aspects from the subject point of view as well. Okay, so for example, if it's heat transfer, you should be knowing how to design a heat exchanger. You should be knowing what is conduction, convection, radiation, how they occur, how to design, what are the steps of designing a heat exchanger, all these things. Okay, so as soon, because interviews go in two ways. One is they don't, they are not able to figure out what you are good at. In that case, they ask you random questions. But if you are smart enough, you can direct your interview in the direction you want. So you mention those topics indirectly that you are good at. For example, that is, if I talk about you are good at heat transfer, then typically they may ask you that what subjects you are good at or what are your favorite subjects. Then you can mention heat transfer. If not, you try to answer your questions in a way that directs them to ask questions from heat transfer itself. Okay, so in internship, if you're mentioning a process equipment, you have done an internship in a refinery, I will actually cover the breakdown of the technical questions based on internship, so we'll discuss that in detail. But as of now, knowing what you did in the internship, wherever you did internship, what is the purpose of that unit is pretty much enough. Okay, also if you did internship in a particular organization, knowing about that organization is also required. Okay, then coming to soft and hard skills and hobbies. Not everyone mention hobbies in their introduction, not everyone mentions soft and hard skills. One should mention soft skills, hard skills, or hobbies in their introduction is their own personal choice. I recommend that if you have good hobbies, if you have good soft and hard skills, then only mention them. Don't mention just for the sake of mentioning such hobbies or skills. Okay, but yes, hobbies or soft skills and hard skills are typically mentioned in resume, so you can be expected to answer questions based on hard skills, soft skills, and hobbies. In that case, be honest. Okay, if you are pursuing that hobby religiously or that skill religiously, then only try to negotiate or try to basically uh, argue with the interviewer. Else, usually when it happens that you are not good at particular skill or hobby, it's better to just mention that I am doing this very unfrequently. I'm not very aware of this particular hobby or skill, and I have just mentioned because I know the very basics of it, something like that. So it's better to back off in such cases. But if you are well aware of that particular skill or hobbies, then do go in depth of it. Okay, if I talk about hobbies, let's say you're mentioning cricket. Okay, then be aware of the latest updates, that upgradations or any activities that have been going. Okay, for example, recently India won women's world cup, or what is the status of India's men ODI team in a recent uh, test series or ODI series or T20 series. Okay, so be aware of the latest updates in that particular hobby. When it comes to skills, let's say if you're mentioning Aspen or Aspen Hysis or Aspen Plus as a skill, or Excel as a skill, then it's better to mention that you didn't do an overall study of that particular skill. Instead, you did a project, and while doing that project, you got a basic overview of that skill. For example, you probably did, let's say, a sizing of a heat exchanger or designing of a heat exchanger in Aspen EDR or Aspen HYSYS, then or Aspen Plus that you can mention. Okay, or you did some kind of calculation in Excel, then you can mention Excel as a skill quoting that particular project. Okay, so that they don't go off topic as such. They don't ask you the meaning of random formulas or random terms in Aspen or Excel as such. Okay, so that is something that how you can manage or direct your interview when it comes to soft skills, hard skills, and hobbies. Okay, any doubts so far? No doubts? Acha, we'll wait for 5 seconds. Even if anyone has doubt and is not comfortable to ask the doubt verbally, feel free to write in the chat box. Okay. Acha, Worley is also one of the companies. Great. I think Worley or Technip also should be coming.
Okay, technique not come.
Okay. Any doubts so far? I've stopped my presentation. Yes, Ritu, please ask your doubt.
Good evening, sir. My
Good
name is
evening.
Ritu Rami. I am a
Mm-hmm.
third year student. So, my
Okay.
doubt was that what are those technical skills on which we can work that can give us good placement options?
Very good. Very good question. Okay. So expect others to ask such questions. Okay. That is going to be more fruitful than what I am discussing, honestly. Okay. So typically, as a chemical engineer, I feel as a fresher chemical engineer, you don't need much of technical skill set as such. You should be knowing basics of heat transfer, mass transfer, and fluid mechanics, and other basic subjects like chemical reaction engineering or chemical technology. Okay. Uh, Apart from that, if I talk about simulation softwares, if I talk about MS Office, particularly MS Excel, if you have done a simple project in these particular softwares, then that is enough. Okay, you don't need to do very high level Excel projects or Aspen Plus or HYSYS simulation to stand out. That is typically my experience. But yes, if you have done a very good project in Aspen, a very good project in Excel, okay, then it is going to benefit particularly in process design companies. So if I talk about Worley or Technip, then these are two organizations, or L&T, which is going to give you some kind of advantage if you have done good work on design, process design in general, let's say designing of heat exchanger or distillation column, or some work on simulation. Okay, but apart from that, HPL, Himadri, JSW, RAL, or Supergas. These are companies which will typically ask you conceptual questions based on heat transfer, mass transfer, fluid mechanics, thermodynamics. Okay, they're not going to expect you a lot of expertise in Excel or Aspen Plus. Although if you have very good, but I feel in general it's not required as such to be very good at simulation part. Okay, so technical skills in general, I will say technical hard skills are required. Technical soft skills, if you have, well and good, but it's not a compulsion. Work on your technical hard skills. If you feel you have done well in understanding the fundamentals of process equipments, your subjects of chemical engineering, then post that you can work on technical soft skills also. Okay, good evening, sir. I had a doubt. Does paper or poster presentation in seminars help anywhere stand out in the resume, or how can I add them as skills in my resume? Okay, so this particular doubt, I know when you are in second year, third year, it becomes very overwhelming that my student, my batchmate is doing poster presentation in this particular conference, this particular. I think I Shemcom. I think HIT organized Shemcom recently, isn't it?
Sir, in 2017 ChemCon.
अच्छा अच्छा 2017 में करवाया था. ओके फाइन, बट ठीक है, मतलब इस इन सब कॉन्फ्रेंस में पेपर टू टू बेसिकली डू द पेपर प्रेजेंटेशन, it's good. It improves your technical, your communication skills. It improves your research abilities. Okay, and it builds your network. Okay, so yes, they help you stand out, but if you expect that you mention your poster and paper presentation in the resume and the interviewer is going to straight away ask question from that, it's very unlikely. Okay, so yes, answer is yes, that yes, it does help in your interviews, but you cannot expect that the interviewer is going to ask you straight away that what did you did in this project presentation, or if you have got an award, for example, you got some gold medal, silver medal, first prize, second prize in that particular poster presentation, still it is not likely, much likely that the interviewer is going to ask, because for interviewer I feel projects and internship play a key role, and your academic knowledge. Okay, apart from that, if time permits, or if that is your internship and projects are something which is not um, taking the attention of the interviewer, in that case they may go in deep of I'd say um, this particular poster presentations or paper presentations. Okay, but directly I don't expect interviewers to ask questions from them. But yes, that doesn't mean that you don't prepare these. Of course you should prepare. If anything you write in a resume, make sure you're thorough with it. Okay, anything can be asked honestly, but if I talk about likeliness, then it is on a lower side. Okay, any other doubt? Okay, fine. If no doubts, we'll move ahead. Uh, by the time I discuss next slide or complete my presentation, keep writing your doubts in the chat box. So, okay, fine. We have got a doubt already. Just a second. Good evening, sir. I had a doubt too. Does giving NPTEL exams benefit us in technical skills on basic core subjects or the fundamentals related to it? Okay, of course, NPTEL teachers, you know, there are more, all of them are IITians. They have a very good background. Every teacher may not be able to communicate well, So it's NPTEL lectures, I have typically found them to be a little difficult to understand. uh, However, the fundamentals that are being discussed are very good. Okay, so if you are talk about in terms of technical skills, they do improve. Is NPTEL directly going to help you in the interviews? I feel not that much. Okay, because what NPTEL teaches is typically the academic portion of, for example, heat transfer. Okay, so if you go a lot into academics, that is not going to help. You should understand what are the industrial aspects of heat transfer. So heat exchangers is the industrial aspect of heat transfer. So if you study heat exchangers from NPTEL, then definitely is going to help. Okay, but if you just study heat transfer, what is different modes of heat transfer or anything which is too much on the academic side, for example, let's say Dittus-Walter equation, okay, or other types of empirical equations, empirical relationships in case of heat transfer, then it may not directly help. However, if you study, let's say, dimensionless numbers in case of heat transfer, mass transfer, or fluid mechanics, then an interviewer can expect you to know dimensionless numbers. So they can directly ask you what is Prandtl number or Nusselt number or um, Reynolds number. Okay, so uh, so answer can be yes or no. Definitely, if you are following NPTEL lectures, well and good. That's going to build your basics. But when it comes to interviews, you need to modify your preparation a little bit. So if you are done with heat transfer, you should know what are the industrial aspects of heat transfer that needs to be taken care of. Okay, if NPTEL helps in that, I know a couple of teachers who have taught heat exchangers. If you are going through those lectures, definitely it's going to help in the interviews. If not, then you need to make sure that you are doing heat exchangers also accompanying heat transfer, and same goes for mass transfer, fluid mechanics, and CRE, etc. What will the approach to study subjects like heat transfer, mass transfer for our placements? Okay, so that is something I'm going to discuss in a later part, Nilay. So I will let you know. Okay, any other doubt, uh, you can just write. Okay, and we'll discuss at the end of the session. Okay, let me wind up my slides. Okay, so that we can have a more candid discussion. Now, another key aspect that typically get asked is the set of HR questions. Okay, HR questions. If I say, I feel that if someone is getting hired for technical role, then one should not get judged by the HR questions. But yes, communication aspect is definitely judged by HR questions, and intent is also judged by HR questions. So if someone is asking HR, answering HR questions vaguely, that means that particular candidate is not serious about the organization. If that is that if someone is trying to answer the HR questions well, and it feels that he or she is trying hard enough, that shows his or her interest in the organization. Okay. Apart from that, answers of HR questions, they may decide the fate of your results based on uh, how you answer those questions. But in general, they usually don't. Okay, so if I start with the very basic HR questions, then introduce yourself. I won't even say it's an HR question, it's the question that they are asking to know you. Okay, so it's not HR questions in general, this is generally to know you. So introduction of yourself is something you should be doing. Okay, I feel a lot of people struggle in this also. Okay, so I would give you a brief overview of how you should describe yourself. Okay, you start with your name, you then mention your hometown, followed by the degree that you're currently pursuing. In your case, it's your BTech in Chemical Engineering from Haldia Institute of Technology. Your year of education, you are currently in fourth year, third year, sixth semester, seventh semester, eighth semester. And if you want to mention your CGPA, you can mention your CGPA, fine. If not, no issues. Followed by the project that you did, title of that project. I don't think you should go deep into the description of the project. Followed by the internship that you did, where you did that internship, and if there is any project associated with the internship, mention about the project as well. Then any soft skill, hard skill, or hobbies that you want to explicitly mention, and you want the interviewer to ask you questions from those particular skills or hobby, then you can mention those. And that is pretty much it. You should not mention your school name, it is not relevant as for you as a employee. You should not mention who all are there in a family. If they are interested, they can ask you. what your brothers are doing, what your parents does. This is also shouldn't be mentioned. Okay, introduction should not go beyond a minute or a couple of minutes at max. Okay, your project, internship, name, hometown, and your current education is pretty much what you should be mentioning. And hobbies, hard skills, soft skills are optional. Okay, so this should be your introduction. Then we have typical HR questions. Why should we hire you? Why do you want to join us? Why do you, what do you know about us? What inspires you to work with us? Where do you hear about us? Okay. Then there are a lot of what, whys, when, etc., where, etc., that can be asked in HR questions. So I took a session a couple of months back for people interviewing for IOCL. In IOCL, I think there were 150 seats, something like that. 2025 of them were someone I have personally interviewed for their preparation, and they are currently, in fact, I interviewed 50 plus candidates who were getting interviewed. Unfortunately, because of the CBT scores, 20 were able to make it to the final list. Okay, so they all are working as IOCL officers. Okay, so in that I took a session on HR questions. Okay, so that is open to all. I will share the link with Suman, so you guys can go through that particular session. I will also share a list of interview questions from all the companies that you've mentioned. Reliance Industries, I have 100 plus interview questions. JSW, I have 20, 30, 50 something interview questions. Himadri Specialty Chemicals, I have HPL, I have interview questions. Worley Technip also have interview questions. Okay, so I will share the link of interview questions that are all posted on my LinkedIn. If you go through my LinkedIn, you will yourself find a lot of interview questions and a material in general. Still, for your convenience, I will share the set of links with Suman, so he can share with you guys, so you can go through those interview questions for preparation. Okay, moving on. Now, if I talk about the core technical topics that they can that the discussion can go on in an interview. First is the knowledge of the subject basics and process equipments. Subject basics, as someone asked, how to prepare for heat transfer, mass transfer, fluid mechanics, etc. See, when you prepare for semester exams, you pretty much prepare for the basis of the subjects. Okay, so you don't post completion of a semester exams for, let's say, heat transfer. You don't need to revise what is conduction, convection, and radiation, right? And that is pretty much the start of the first question in the interview. If the interviewer is interested to ask question from heat transfer or heat exchangers, they will ask what is the mode of heat transfer that you're aware of, then which mode is faster, how do you compare one mode with the another, followed by some question specific to conduction, maybe convection, maybe radiation, maybe. Okay, then applications, then heat exchanger, designing of heat exchanger. Okay, so it will start from the very basics of that particular subject, then it move to more of the industrial aspects. Okay, so this is the topics, one category of topic for technical question. Secondly, based on your internship, you should be aware of the unit processes and unit operations that you have covered during your internship. Let's say if I talk about refinery, if you did your internship in IOCL, irrespective of whichever unit you did in an internship, for example, you did in FCC, you should be knowing the overview of a refinery. So ADU, VDU, DHDS, FCC, whisk breaker, delayed coker, and other utilities and units. Okay. If let's say if I talk about Haldia Petrochemicals, if you did your internship in HPL, then you should be knowing about the basics of, even if you did your internship in some other unit, you should be knowing about high density polyethylene, low density polyethylene, or polypropylene unit. Okay. So overview of unit operations and unit process from your internship is again some one of the categories of technical discussion, from where the technical discussion can take place. Then coming on to recent current scenario based topics. So what is relevant these days in the energy sector in general? Green hydrogen, carbon capture, utilization and storage, that is CCUS. Then your environmental social governance, then your climate change, biofuel, geopolitics, energy policies, or policies in general. Okay, so having a basic idea of these policies, updates on what is happening in carbon capture, climate change scenario, and what you as a chemical engineer can contribute or can do for curbing these emissions, for improving the existing technology to become it more sustainable. In fact, I feel chemical engineers are someone who are at the forefront of climate change. Okay, forefront in the sense, in a positive sense, that they are the ones that can actually come up with the technologies which can prevent climate change, and they are the ones responsible for climate change. How? Based on emissions that is happening across the industries, across the based on vehicular emissions. So some, or more or less, chemical engineers are the ones that have caused this problem, but at the same time they are actually the ones that can solve these problems. Okay, so green hydrogen, climate change, and any relevant uh, energy sector related topics can be asked in the interviews. Okay, especially, for example, if I talk about Haldia petrochemicals, that they can ask what is the current scenario of petrochemical sectors. Okay, what is the projected demand of petrochemicals in India? If I talk about Reliance Industries, then they are actively expanding in green hydrogen sector, solar photovoltaic sector, hydropower sector, wind energy sector. Okay, so they can ask questions from that also, that what you're aware of, are you aware of these particular technologies, how do these technologies work, what is the current scenario of these technologies. So every in and out, once you go through the company's profile, you will find out what are what topics you need to study, particularly in this miscellaneous section of technical subjects, technical topics basically. Okay, so with this I conclude. uh, Okay, so I would like to briefly mention about. Uh, okay, so let's say if you're someone who is well prepared, if you're someone who want to start from scratch, you are at basically any stage of your interview preparation. All you need to do is first, I will share the set of links with you, which Suman will be forwarding you guys. So you will have interview questions. You can access those interview questions from my LinkedIn post. Then you will have an HR question preparation session that will be there. When it comes to technical, yes, there are a lot of resources available on YouTube, but at the same time, the resources are very scattered. You will not be able to figure out what is correct for you, or what is something that you should be preparing which is relevant to the interview. So all you need to do to prepare well for the technical aspect, at least, you just need to go to my LinkedIn. Okay, in the LinkedIn, scroll down to the featured section. You will find something called as this link. Click on the view option. Okay, this is my top mate page where I have curated a lot of subject specific technical discussions. Okay, you will find thermodynamics for interviews. You will not find any other resource which particularly caters thermodynamics discussed in interviews. You will find GDGT masterclass. You will find online assessment, particularly for chemical engineers. So online assessments targeting chemical engineers is no, you cannot find it anywhere else. Similar goes for fluid mechanics, mass transfer, and heat transfer. So when it comes to the technical part, this particular um, uh, thing, for example, let's say if I go into the mass transfer section, you will find the topics. So what I have discussed, what are the fundamentals of mass transfer? What are the different mass transfer operations? How do you actually design column? Okay. And I'm not going into the lot of detail as such, because column design is a very industrial aspect, honestly, but basics of it is often asked in the interviews. What are the different types of trays? What are the tray hydraulics? How do you compare packed towers with tray towers, etc.? So something which is basic yet not often taught in uh, colleges is something which I have covered in these particular uh, courses. Okay, so you can.
Yeah, your screen is not visible.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Was my presentation visible prior to that?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so I think you should have reminded me to share my screen. Okay, fine. ठीक है, no issues. Okay, so I think I was discussing this particular slide. HR questions, I think it was not shared since this slide itself. Okay, so this was the slide, basic HR questions based on the organization. I think I have discussed well, so you are already aware of it. Then coming on to the technical questions, this is there. Okay, and then that was it. What I was saying, you can just go to my LinkedIn. In the link, also, if you are not following on LinkedIn, do follow me on LinkedIn. Okay, I usually post a lot on recent updates in the industry, uh, on the interview aspects also a lot, so you can stay updated on your technical preparation from my LinkedIn also. At the same time, if you just go through my LinkedIn post from last 2 years, half your preparation for the interviews is going to get done there itself, then and there itself, honestly. Okay. Else, when it comes to typically the technical part of the preparation, you need to go to the featured section, click on the first post that is featured, and click on the view. You will go to somewhere called as top mid page of mine. You can go through the thermodynamics interview course. As I mentioned, this particular course, no one basically teaches thermodynamics specifically for interviews, right? So thermodynamics for interviews, mass transfer, heat transfer for interviews, group discussion and group task for interviews, fluid mechanics, and online assessments, mastering online assessment for chemical engineers. Okay. So I was discussing about typically mass transfer for interviews. So you can see the course content. Okay. Even if you don't want to go through this particular course, fine, no issues. But make sure that for the interviews, you are thoroughly studying these topics. Okay, because most of the questions that you will find, especially in companies like Reliance or HPL or Himadri or JSW, are going to come from these topics. In case of Technip and Worley also, because these are design based questions that I'm usually going to cater to. In case of heat transfer, let's say it's a 8-hour course, 4 lectures in total, 6 lectures and 3 lectures in total. So modes of heat transfer, conduction, convection, radiation, heat exchangers are discussed in detail. Heat exchanger design, Kunz method, and TEMA standards are also being discussed. TEMA standards, no college teaches. Kunz method, they usually don't teach that in detail. Okay, I have taught that in a way that you can get a very good overview of Kunz method, and you are able to explain that to the interviewer within within 5 minutes. Okay, so as I said, even if you don't want to go through the course, a very good source to identify the topics that are asked for the interviews is go through the contents of this particular courses. Okay, so I have explicitly mentioned what is important and what is discussed, and that is only which is required to for you to study for the interviews. Okay, let's say you are well prepared for the technical part already, or you have gone through these courses, and you need to make sure that when the interviewer asks you introduce yourself, you are confident, or when the interviewer asks you the technical questions, so you can book a one call with me. You can book a career guidance session also if you're planning for masters, if you're planning for gate, if you're planning for to be honest, anything related to chemical engineering. You reach out to me. For mock interviews, you can based on your requirement, if it's let's say you need a detailed mock interview, you can go through this particular session. And similarly, you can go through all the details of different categories of session that I have put in, and you can also carry out resume review session with me. You can also strategize for interview preparation. Let's say you want to do preparation specific to Technip or Worley or Reliance Industries, then you can schedule a session based on your requirement. Okay, so that is it from my side. Now I would love to get good questions asked and answer those questions. Okay, so I'm unsharing my screen, and feel free to ask your doubts. I think most of the doubts are already listed in the chat. Okay, so we'll start from those doubts. Okay, Soumyadeep has asked which type of soft skill attract the mind of the interviewer. See, it is completely based on person to person. For me, good communication skills is a bias. For someone, it may be calmness can be the bias, or maybe good posture may be the bias. So, to be very honest, having soft skill is always advantageous, but solely having a soft skill so that the interviewer gets attracted, it's not required as such. Okay, you need to have whatever soft skill you are good at, just mention it. Okay, if the interviewer is interested, they will ask. Subhajit sir, what is important for interview section? Skill, knowledge, or CGPA? Everything, to be very honest. Okay, CGPA is going to help you land in the interview. Okay, post that, the significance of CGPA doesn't become zero, but at the same time, it is not as important as it was prior to the interview. Okay, so even if you have a very high CGPA and if you do basic mistakes in the interview, it is very unlikely that you are going to get selected. Okay, so it's better that having a good CGPA, you maintain good knowledge as well. Having a bad CGPA, you need to work a lot on your knowledge and skill set. Okay, so yes, having a good CGPA definitely provides you some kind of advantage in the interview, some kind of bias. But again, if you don't stand true to the CGPA, or you don't basically uh, reflect that your CGPA is justified, in that case, the interviewer is also going to judge you a lot. Okay, so it's better, if you're having a good CGPA, work on your skills and knowledge equally. If you're not having a good CGPA, put an extra effort on your skills and knowledge. Okay, how to prepare for GD round for the interview, especially for someone who is not comfortable with public speaking. Okay, so a very good source, as I've already mentioned, is my GDGT masterclass. Okay, I have exactly discussed what are the aspects to focus on in group discussion, group task. I have broken down the type of topics that group discussions have. Okay, but again, the very simple answer to this question is practice. Okay, the more topics you learn about, the more topics you practice among your friends verbally in front of a mirror, you are going to get good at it. Okay, so there is no secret sauce to becoming good at GD or becoming good at GT. Okay, you only need to practice. Okay, so find out the topics, different group discussion topics online, practice whatever topics or whatever the content that you have just spoken, check it with AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini, that what could have been added. Okay, in fact, a very good tool can be, you just say to ChatGPT that give me a group discussion topic. Okay, once you get a group discussion topic, you simply record whatever you are saying directly on ChatGPT. Okay, and send to ChatGPT and ask the ChatGPT to analyze and what I could have improved. Okay, so that is one of the ways that you can prepare really well for group discussions, particularly analyzing the topics, the very topics that you yourself are speaking. Okay, Ritu has asked, what are the major subjects one can focus for the interview round? I think I have answered this particular question. Okay, good evening, sir. If during the interview process there may arise a situation where I may not be knowing a particular topic or may not be able to recall, how should I handle those situations? Also, how to grab the attention of the if not getting nervous, by not getting nervous during the process. See, Abhik, it is very unlikely that you are not going to get nervous in the interview, unless and until, because see, interview is something where a lot of things are at stake. Okay, you want to get selected. If you are desiring to get selected, you are going to get nervous. Okay, if you are not desired, if you don't want to get selected in the company, then that is typically the case where you are not going to get nervous, or you have given so many interviews that you don't really care about what the interviewer is now asking, or what interview thinks about you. Okay, so in these two cases only you are not going to get nervous, but it is very much likely you are going to get nervous. Okay, so the only thing that can subside your nervousness is the technical and the non-technical proficiency in your answers. Okay, so if you start giving answers well, automatically your nervousness will come down. Okay, if you are not able to give the answers well, it will keep on rising during the interview. Okay, so answering questions is the only way to subside that nervousness. Also, if you are not able to recall any particular answer, you can just simply say that, sir, I'm not able to recall as of now. I will definitely look into it post this interview, but as of now I'm unable to recall. Or sorry sir, I'm not able to recall the answer. I will look into the post this interview. Or I am aware of this topic, but I'm unable to recall the answer. Okay, you can immediately say this if you are having no clue about the answer, or you can say this after answering something which you know. For example, if the interviewer asks, what do you know about climate change? So this particular topic, yes, you know something about it. Climate change is a phenomena that is happening for a long time now, particularly due to greenhouse gas emissions. Increased CO2 levels are globally warming, causing global warming. Because of this, we are seeing a lot of things. Climate weather patterns are changing. Uh, Ice is melting faster. We have seen shift in the weather conditions. Rain is getting delayed. Summers are getting extreme. Winters are getting frostier. Okay, but let's say they go into, acha, what do you know about carbon capture, or what do you know about scopes or carbon emissions? And if you're not aware of this, you can just say that, sir, I'm not aware of this. Or if you know something about this, you mention a couple of lines and then say, sir, I'm not able to recall the remaining things about it. Okay, this is how you can typically tackle a question which you aren't aware of. Abhinav has asked how to prepare for GATE and PSU examination. Can we know what was the strategy getting such a good rank in GATE? Okay, so I think this particular session doesn't concentrate on that particular part, so I would not go into deep of that. But I would just say, if I talk about GATE or PSU CBTs, I am going to bring a lot of discussions on my YouTube channel. Okay, stay active on my LinkedIn. Still, I have not revealed my YouTube channel name. I will be posting content soon on my YouTube channel. So stay active on my LinkedIn, and you will find a lot of discussion and strategies being discussed for CBT preparation, for GATE preparation. Okay. Is learning design software Aspen and MATLAB required for chemical engineering student? Okay. Very good question. Requirement is one thing, and one should learn is another thing. Okay. Is it required to learn for a chemical engineering fresher? The simple answer is no. But will it help you as a chemical engineer if you learn it? The simple answer is yes. Okay. But provided that you did something, or your fundamentals of chemical engineering are good, then only softwares like Aspen or MATLAB will help you. Because what MATLAB and Aspen basically help you do, it basically helps you in minimizing the calculations that you would have to do a basic thing. For example, if you want to design a heat exchanger, then whatever calculations that you're doing on paper, it is something Aspen and MATLAB are doing at the back end. Okay, but what is the right design? What are the pressure drop criteria? What is the sizing criteria? That is something that you will know as a chemical engineer, provided that you are good with fundamentals. So yes, if you have built the fundamentals, these softwares are going to ease the calculations, will improve your understanding of chemical engineering. But is it required? Yes or no? Okay. Is it beneficial for students, and does knowledge of these tools make a candidate more attractive to interview as a chemical engineer? I feel it does. But again, is it going to have a huge impact that if someone with very good knowledge is also having Aspen skill set, and someone with very good knowledge is not having Aspen skill set? I don't think there is much of difference. The difference will come if someone is having very good project in Aspen and doesn't know how to differentiate between convection and radiation. Then I don't think that candidate is eligible for was first in the first place qualified to learn Aspen. Okay, so you get good at basics, you do the things which should be done right. Post that, you can definitely work on these softwares: Excel, MATLAB, Aspen Plus, Aspen HYSYS, DWSIM. DWSIM is open source. You can work on DWSIM if you're really interested in simulation. Okay, so definitely it's going to help. But again, I think that you should get your basics right. Once you're done with that, feel free to work on this, and it is going to be definitely advantageous, provided you understand the numbers that it is generating. Okay, else those are just numbers for you. Whatever size it gives you, you're going to accept it without going to understand the consequences of that. Or is it even practical? Okay, an exchanger 50 meters long is not practical, right? How will you know it? You will know it when you know the industrial design standards. Okay, so that will come with experience. That is not something which is taught in the academics, and in fact that is not something which is required in the academics, honestly. But still, with the industry, that is why Aspen softwares, as software simulation softwares, are typically learned by professionals, because they are aware of the design standards, they are aware of the industry standards, industry benchmarks, and then they design. Okay, so you can do the basic design things provided that you're good with the fundamentals. So focus on fundamentals, post that you can definitely work on simulation softwares. Okay, any other doubts? We'll take a couple of doubts and then we'll conclude. Okay, I think over 1 hour is already done in the session. How can we manage, how can we make changes on our CV for different companies to make it more appropriate according to those companies? Okay, ठीक है. If you're talking about core chemical engineering companies, then I feel more or less your CV can remain same, because your internship is typically you have done one or two internships. If that particular company is research oriented, you can keep the research one internship if you're having one. If not, you can omit that particular internship. So this is one change that you can do in terms of internship. If I talk about project, if that particular project is not relevant, or if you have done couple of projects, one of them is relevant to the company that you are getting interviewed for, one of them is not, you can omit the one which is not. Okay, skill set, simulation software knowledge, MS Office knowledge, I think is pretty much relevant for any company. So nothing to change in that. Similar goes for hobbies, same goes for soft skills. Okay, the only thing that you can change is pretty much internship and projects. If you have done multiple internships, multiple projects, change it according to companies. uh, Keep the relevant ones, omit the irrelevant ones. Okay, apart from that, for core chemical engineering companies, the ones that you have mentioned, HPL, Himadri, JSW, Reliance, Worley, Technip, Supergas. Okay, for these companies, single resume, a fixed resume can be considered. Okay, my pleasure. Okay, we'll take one more doubt and we'll conclude. Let me go through above messages so that I don't miss a doubt. Okay, I think I have discussed all of this. Okay, fine. I think there are no such doubts. Okay, Suman, I think we can conclude.
Yes, Bhaiya. Okay, thank you everyone for joining the session, and thank you, Chirag Bhaiya, for conducting the session. And it was truly valuable for their insightful guidance. And your session was truly informative and motivating for our students. And I personally follow Chirag Bhaiya during my placement season, and I also recommend you guys follow his interview material. So you can also help from that.
Suman, I
Thank
will
you,
share
Bhaiya.
HR session link and the interview questions link. So do share with all the students. Okay, and also yes. So because I think 80 plus people are already there, so very good participation already. Still, let's say if you were to rate the way I have described things so far out of 5, okay, what should be your rating? Just type in the chat quickly. Those who are active, those who are not scrolling Instagram side by side. Okay. Okay, so we are getting fives, a lot of fives. Okay, thank you so much. I think that reflects the kind of activeness that students at HIT has. Very good. Okay. Okay, so very positive response. Thank you, Suman. I really enjoyed taking the session. Very smart, very s- good set of chemical engineers are being trained at HIT. Okay, and Suman, I think the recording is done for this session, right?
Yes, Bhaiya, recording is on.
So please share the drive link wherever the recording is uploaded. Okay.
Yes, Bhaiya, sure.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good night, and thank you for the uh, uh, attending this particular session. Okay, in such a huge audience. Thank you.